Around the Kit with Joe Gansas.
And now your host, Joe Gansas.
Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome back to Around the Kit's video live stream show. Today, Sunday, July 10th, 2022. We have a tremendous show for you tonight. 5 just tremendous drummers for you. Our round table, 3 of the best in the world of drumming from 8:10 to 8:25 p.m. Seamus Evely, Michael Czimback, Mike Vanderhule. Our main guests tonight, just happy to have these guys back again. The great Joe Franco at 8:30 p.m. and the 9:30 spot, John Macaluso. We appreciate you guys checking us out right now live on Facebook. Just always happy to bring these live shows, and then later on they'll be on YouTube. If you're watching this later on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to be informed of future shows. We have great stuff coming up on Around the Kit. What we got coming up in the next 2 weeks, we're going to have some great shows coming up. July 24th, we have the tremendous Dave DeCenso and Donald Barrett. And August 7th, we have Mark Zonder and the great Glenn Sobel. We always appreciate the interaction with you guys, and we always appreciate all the comments. We got so much good positivity going on Around the Kit. We are in the midst, right in the middle of working on a really, really big promo video to get sponsors on our show. We got so much. We're gaining content from previous guests. They're sending us videos. It's going to be really a big promo. We're excited about that. And we're starting to do interviews during the week, any days, and we're going to be uploading them during the week, not just this live show on Sunday, but we're going to be doing these videos during the week where we have these big guests, some of the best in the world, and a lot of living legends coming up, just to keep it real. And I'm so happy that they give me their time all the time. We have guys like Peter Erskine coming up, Dennis Chambers. We got some of the greats coming up on this little series. We're probably going to be putting those out during the week on Facebook and social media. Not sure what day, but we'll just put them out there, and it just gives us more content. Those are going to be pretty much an interview. What you'll see is the intro, and then you'll see me talking to these great guests. Stuff like that. But we just want to more and more and more, and we have so many guests that want to come on the show. Sunday nights is just not enough. We have to get more content on there. So we're happy that these people want to come on the show for us, and just always grateful to have these great guests. That promo video we're going to be doing is going to be so big for us to gain more sponsors. And if you guys want to comment now on Facebook, let us know how the show is going for you, how you liking. This is our 4th video live stream after 7 years on the radio. It's still new to us. We're working the kinks out. We're getting better every week. We got a great team of Laura Pepe-Altieri as a segment writer, Doug Miola just kicking ass with their segments, and the guy that I can't stress enough. I can't stress enough how the guy who brings it all into fruition, my favorite word in the world, fruition, brings it together. The great John Besser just brought the show to a different level. He keeps everything. He keeps everything real. He keeps me on track of not going off base. Great director. Really responsible for a lot of you're seeing all the graphics on the side and the back of me. Just happy to have him on board. Just love everything about it. So we got all these great things coming up. Great guests. We are now booked, guys, up until November. So we have a lot of great guests coming up, and we're going to be doing some roundtable shows. but I'm looking forward to this midweek, video series where I talk to these great drummers. So we're just happy to be coming to you live again. And if you're on YouTube, once again, hit that like and subscribe and the notification bell down below. This way you're updated, and we need more subscribers. So if you're out there, spread the word. We are so grateful. Live today, and we just love coming to you every other Sunday doing the show. Let's take this time to hear from our main sponsor, Centent Cymbal. Around the Kit is sponsored by Centent Cymbals. Centent Cymbals is quickly becoming the choice for drummers worldwide. With their roots going back to the emperors of the Qing dynasty, Centent blend the best of old world know-how with modern techniques to help all drummers find the best fit for them. Whether you're an avid drumming enthusiast or touring professional, Centent has the perfect combination of products, pricing, and service to fit any drummer's needs. Contact them today to find out what the drum love is really all about. Centent Cymbals. Forge your sound. Guys, we are back again. A really big part of the show, and I just love the round table where we get these great drummers. A lot of them, all three tonight, have been past guests in the past. I just love them all. Let's bring on Michael Czimback, Seamus Evely, and Mike Vanderhule. Guys, what's going on tonight?
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
Hey,
Great to see you.
How are you, buddy?
Yeah, good to see you, pal.
Seamus, thank you, brother. Michael and Mike, how you guys doing tonight? What's up, Mike Vanderhule? How you doing, brother?
Oh, doing well, man. Just, waiting it out, having a good time.
What's going on? What's going on in the Y&T world, brother?
Well, and for those who don't know, Dave had a relapse of his prostate cancer. He's going to be fine. He finished his treatments Friday, so we're gigging again next weekend. Got a couple shows in California coming up, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, we can do Europe in the fall. But, there's so many hurdles to see if we can pull it off. So fingers crossed. But,
guys, if you can, I got the pleasure to hang out with Mike twice in the last 3 or 4 years backstage, and awesome. He was so kind to me. Kick-ass Y&T, still kicking ass. Great job, brother. What's up, Seamus? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, buddy. It's good to have to be on the show again, and I'm just chilling here in my house and enjoying some conversation with these two fine gentlemen. I'd never met them before, but getting all caught up. We had some good laughs.
Man,
guys.
I'm a big fan of the drum gab and everything, man. You've been doing just great stuff. Thank you for your time. What is up, Michael Czimback? You're like one of the busiest guys going on. What's up, kid?
Nothing much. Just staying busy. Got my new studio up and running. Got Todd Zuckerman coming down here in November to do three.
Who?
Todd
who?
I don't know, he's from some band
Todd.
we've heard of, I think.
Todd.
Yeah.
Todd. Oh.
So I'm super excited for that. So that'll be in November. We have 3 almost totally sold out days of master classes. So
Nice.
I'm just plugging along.
Guys, back-to-back years, 2021, Michael Czimback did this great presentation of Neil Peart. He brought Neil's set. He did like a 10, 12-minute, it was choreographed, awesome. And this past year, you did Phil Collins, right, this year?
Yeah, so I had the Neil Candy Apple Red Superstars out this year. We that went really well. That was that when Neil passed, and so we did. Joe wanted me to do another thing, so we did Phil Collins since I have the replicate for that, and we did this the 80 Simmons drums, the whole thing, and just try to have fun with it and get guys wanting to play and just remembering those songs. It's just fun. So
great stuff, guys. We are live with a round table. One of my favorite parts of the show. I've given the duties tonight to Michael Czimback to come up with this week's topic. What do you got, brother?
All right, so I think I have it in like 2 parts. So I'm going to just kind of rattle it off in 2 places and start it off. So I guess the first one is what are the things that you work on in your playing that you've seen the most benefit from?
So let's go to Seamus on that, brother. when you're playing, even after all these years, what do you look towards in things to get better at?
I guess for me, it's about how it's feeling. The feel of the playing is everything for me.
Right.
A lot of what I do is groove based, and it's just got to feel right. And also, too, I guess being able to settle into something as quickly as possible, and not having to search too long before you really find something that you're really gelling with, and then you can just get deeper and deeper and deeper with it.
Right.
So that's definitely a huge thing for me.
How about feeling comfortable? It's important that we're comfortable on that throne.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like with you guys, I want to bounce this back at you guys for a minute.
Yeah.
What about like making your strength stronger? How do you guys feel about that idea?
Making what stronger?
Like how a lot of drummers say, like, let's work on our weak points and focus a lot on that. What about the opposite? Focusing on the strengths and making them even stronger. Yeah, what do you guys think about that?
Mike Vanderhule, what do you got, bro?
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, like you said, the feel is the most important thing. So to work on that, I'm always filming every time I play a show, because make sure, when you're excited or when you're down, so I want to see it and I watch it and feel it. But I'm always working on how to play, especially now that I'm getting older, without any pain or stress, and just try and totally relax. And then one thing that we all struggle with sometimes, especially if some, hero of ours comes into a show, it's just like trying to get out of your own head and just let go and get inside the music. Those are things I'm always conscious of until I'm playing. Hopefully they become unconscious, but those are strengths, right?
How about Michael Czimback's original question to Mike Vanderhule, and great job, Seamus, brother. His original question about, what do you his original question for you, Mike.
Well, yeah, that's almost the same answer there. I'm working on my, it's always a comfort in motions and just getting fluid around the kit all the time. And, I get that I'm in a rock band, so I take a bunch of heat for looking like I'm relaxed and, and not killing it up there, but, I could play loud as hell without killing the drums. So I work hard on my technique and obviously the motions to make things feel good, because it's all about the motion and then your balance and your strengths and
But for you, Mike, I think if I'm correct, you're in Y&T 16 years this year. Am I correct?
Yeah, June was 16. Yeah.
So all those classics from the 70s and 80s, and I think we talked about this before, but let everybody know at a round table, is it important for you to keep that real as original, or you can, or are you allowed, or do your own thing to throw your own spice in there?
Yeah, both. I mean, definitely when you get in a band, learn the records and sound authentic, because that's what the people want to hear. But early on, Dave and Phil made it clear, they've adjusted things over time. So there's kind of like, quote unquote, inside jokes and feels and moves they make that are different than the records. And then, they never said anything when I did something I felt was musical. And, when they were making those records back in the day, they weren't done to clicks or anything. So the stuff moved a lot. So some things you have to play different, because if they don't speed up and slow down, they don't feel right anymore, it's a compromise, but you feel it out as a band.
Yeah. Michael Czimback, before we get to your next point, let's go to your first point and give us a little bit of Seamus's point also.
Okay. So mine, I mean, a lot of it comes down to feel, like he was saying. I like to try and work on my improvisational stuff, just like sitting down and just trying to get to it, like he was saying, like really quick and phrasing and coming up with things that I would use on records, like when I'm recording and writing, because that happens a lot with the band I'm in. So I have to kind of come in and add value to myself in that band by coming in with something, and everybody starts like following me. So hopefully I'm the Bonham in that band, so to speak.
Yeah.
So as far as strengths, I didn't know I had any, but I guess I really don't. I don't really think I get thrown in so many different situations, as far as like when I freelance for certain stuff on the side, or last year I subbed with Get the Let Out, which is one of the biggest Led Zeppelin tribute bands in the country, and And that was just like, whether I'm doing that Phil or that Neil thing, is like those isolated drum tracks, or I videotape myself like working on the feels, like pushing and pulling, especially with the Zeppelin. I mean, all of it. Like the Neil was like, it was isolated in one ear, just like Phil was, because I couldn't put a click to it. And I just try and just play it a million times till I can get as close as I can, and just try and do the best I can to honor those people. So
yeah, guys, we are in the middle of our great roundtable with these great human beings and drummers. Let's get to your second point, Michael Czimback. Your second part.
all right, so my second part was kind of related to the first, but it was just, what are some of the things as a drummer that you do to inspire other people, whether it's music or drumming, to get involved and to like the Todd, like having Todd come here. I did that because, well, one, I knew him and we studied similar material, and I just look up to him as a person a lot. And so I wanted to just bring all the drummers in my area, just like, we have no more modern drummer festivals. I just wanted everybody to get together, or like at the Collective, we had clinics every Thursday, and I just wanted to hang with everybody. And I just so happened to bring in a pretty good guy. So,
yeah. What do you got,
he's
Mike?
kind of good.
What do you got, Mike Vanderhule, on that?
Wow. Yeah. Inspiration wise, I've been teaching for like over 35 years. So, to try and, whether it be a drum student or a fan or anybody or something else in life, to try and, do something to light a fire in them and inspire them and let them feel what I felt when I was young and make them want to play, but bring out what they're already good at. So when I'm teaching, I'm basically teaching people how to teach themselves, and that's what I like about Todd and Steve Smith, who we all know here too, and I was lucky to study with guys who know how to teach themselves, so they know how to teach you really well. And you can pass that on to anything in life to inspire people and show them how to make themselves better at whatever they're doing.
Mike Vanderhule, you've been teaching for so long and at a top level. Are you okay with the student taking a chance and not succeeding? I think that's got to be okay.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can't tell them, what to do, but I definitely make it clear that, if this isn't all you eat, sleep, and breathe and want to do with your life, then, maybe you should be working on something else too. But you got to take a shot at what you want to do in life. And then there's so much more than playing, though. It's about your attitude and your hang and all that stuff too. So, yeah.
What do you got, Seamus, on Mike's second point? Michael's second point.
Yeah, well, so much like you, actually, Joe, with Drumming Gab podcast and Drum Gab, I interviewed a lot of drummers, and
sure, my
whole objective with that was to get into the minds of these people and to pull out both a lifestyle aspect of things, the technical practice, the mindset, the focus, everything that goes into what creates a great player. And a lot of these names that we're all talking about, like Todd is a really good friend of mine as well. Amazing guy. Steve Smith, amazing guy. And having interviews with these people, I think inspired me, taught me a lot of things, so that then I can take some of those nuggets and then pass it on to other drummers to see like what their take is on it. And then having listeners tune into that, I think was a great service to drummers, to inspire them and educate them. And also just kind of let them in a little bit into even some of the personal lives of these people.
Sure.
And so that was my contribution, I would say.
Seamus, what was your biggest goal? Every interview, whether it was a female, a male, a top-notch player, somebody not as well known, was there always a common thread that you wanted to get out from each and every guest?
Yeah, I think what it boiled down to was to try to get them in a space where they felt like it was just them and I in a room together, right, and that they forgot like we were pressed record and that we were having a conversation that others were going to hear, and to access the vulnerable side of these people that, and I tried to get really into that. That was definitely my primary objective, right, was to make them vulnerable, and to get them to talk about things like Annika Niela's, say, for example, talking about how at her age as a woman, she's not sure people are going to be interested in her anymore, watching her play drums, right? But that was her vulnerability. Right. She felt she was getting older, and that because she was a woman playing drums, part of her appeal was the sexuality because of her male audience, so many men, right, watching her. right? So like things like that like, you know, for a moment you could tell like we're in the room together and it's as if no one's listening to this and we're just having this intimate conversation. So that was what I tried to hit on every time. Yeah.
Love it. And for you guys, Mike Vanderhule does a show. Now, Mike, what's it called again? You do a show?
It's called Rock and Roll Happy Hour with Mark and Mike. We haven't been doing as much lately, but yeah, we base the whole show around usually a celebrity musician and their upbringing, their favorite songs that they grew up with, what inspired them. We play all the music and then have laughs and, you know, have comedian stuff going on. And it's fun.
Yeah, it's just more interaction. I think we need more of this. We need more interaction with you three great drummers and great guys. And me, I think if we get the word out, it spreads and hopefully like a domino effect. But I've been following Seamus for years and his show and his playing, and Mike Vanderhule and Michael Czimback just doing great things. Before we go, Seamus, what do you got coming up? Or what have you been up to, bro?
Man, a whole lot. This is kind of under wraps, but there might be a chance where Drumeo Gab is coming back. I might be starting that up again, so that's very exciting. And I'm moving to Nova Scotia from Ontario, Canada, so that's
nice.
Big news. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on for sure. I can't wait to share it with everybody.
Michael Czimback, besides the Todd, masterclasses, what are you up to, bro?
Just been playing with the band, doing some stuff, and Danny's out right now out in San Diego with Skunk Baxter playing a gig and a couple gigs, and then he's coming back. And then we sold a song to a movie that one of the Star Wars, the girl that's in Obi-Wan, I think she's the aunt of Luke Skywalker.
Cool.
She plays, and she was in a movie that we sold our song to, our single that we put out. So there's going to be red carpet stuff for that, and hopefully the movie takes off. So we can get out a little bit more. That would
Good
be nice.
stuff. And
That's sick.
And Mike Vanderhule, hoping that Dave Manichetti is getting better. We got dates coming up soon or in the fall.
Yeah, you can look on yntrocks.com and find that. And otherwise I've just been doing what I always do, and that's sessions online and teaching online and in person. So you can check out my website, MikeVanderhule.com. There's my plug. But yeah, and finally, a couple cool things coming up. Like I can say it now because it's being mixed. But Kelly Kagi, I got to play in 3 songs on his record, and that's coming out. And it's like I'm excited about that because I told him, like I said on the show, that's like Phil Collins asking him to play on record. What the hell you need me for? You know?
He's coming on the show. He's upcoming on the show. He had some problems with his mother-in-law. She was sick, but he's coming up soon. Mike Vanderhule, Seamus Evely, and Michael Czimback, I cannot thank you guys enough. It's always my pleasure to have great human beings on my show. You've made my show better tonight, and we say thank you to all you guys.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Seamus. Thanks, brother Seamus, Michael Czimback, and Mike Vanderhule. Guys, have a great night. We got Joe Franco coming up. Thanks, guys.
Nice meeting you guys, man.
Thanks.
All right.
Nice meeting you guys.
You too. All right.
Have a good night.
Great stuff. Oh, guys, just tremendous stuff. I love the round table because you just never know. And I like when I ask a question that they give me an answer that I didn't want. That's what makes it real, you know. So we just thank Michael Czimback, we thank Mike Vanderhule, and Seamus Evely for another round table. Guys, we're gonna get to one of our segments now. We have some time. Let's get to one of our segments. She's been kicking ass, the great Laura Pepe Altieri, and just another one this week in drum history. This week in drum history, we celebrate the life of the California girl best known as the drummer for the 1970s all-female rock group, The Runaways. Time magazine described the late, great Sandy West as a pioneering rock drummer. She was the first successful female rock drummer to reach superstardom. Sandy West was born Sandy Pesavento 63 years ago today on July 10th, 1959 in Long Beach. She was raised in Huntington Beach, and according to her mother, Sandy was the most athletic of her 7 sisters, an avid surfer and water skier. Her introduction to music began at 8 with the violin.
She was trying to follow in her sister's footsteps, but it wasn't for her. She dropped the violin when she discovered an old 6.5-inch stainless steel Ludwig snare drum in her grandfather's garage. She pulled it out, dusted it off, and started beating on it, and her drum journey began. At 9, Sandy enrolled in the Long Beach Unified District Elementary School music program, becoming the first female allowed to play the drums. In high school, she joined the marching band, orchestra, and stage band. At 13, she was the solo female member of the local Huntington Beach band, playing parties and dances. At 15, she was introduced to Joan Jett, who wanted to start an all-girl band. They made an immediate connection jamming together. By 16, Sandy and Joan founded the Runaways, with the 17-year-old Joan Jett on rhythm guitar, 17-year-old Lita Ford on lead guitar. On bass was 16-year-old Jackie Fox, 16-year-old Sandy West on drums, and out in front, 16-year-old Sherry Curry. For 4 years, from 1975 to 1979, Sandy West was a vital member of the band, writing all her own drum parts. Even though the Runaways failed to achieve tremendous commercial success in America, they were a huge smash in Japan. They performed in arenas to sold-out crowds and released a live album that went gold. They did several world tours, headlining with opening acts like Tom Petty, Cheap Trick, and the Ramones. Their discography includes over 60 albums, singles, bootlegs, and compilations. Their music has been included in dozens of rock and punk collections and appeared in several feature films. Sandy West, along with her bandmates, arrived during a time when men dominated the world of rock music. They broke ground and paved the way for future generations. Over the past 40 years, many successful female artists and female bands were influenced by the Runaways, including the Bangles, the Go-Go's, Sahara Hot Nights, L7, the Donnas, and Vixen. Also artists, the Germs, Courtney Love, the Adolescents, Taylor Momsen, White Flag, and Rhino Bucket. Shortly after Sandy was featured as an interview subject in a 2004 documentary, Edge Play, a film about the Runaways, she was diagnosed with lung cancer. She died on October 21st, 2006, at 47 years old. Bandmate Joan Jett commented, "I started the Runaways with Sandy West. We shared the dream of girls playing rock and roll. Sandy was an exuberant and powerful drummer, so underrated she was the caliber of John Bonham. I am overcome from the loss of my friend. I always told her we'd change the world. Happy heavenly birthday, Sandy West. Rest in peace."
Hey guys, great stuff from Joe Franco, live with the great Widowmaker. We are trying to get Joe. Give us a couple minutes to get Joe on the Skype. Having trouble logging in. He says he's in a Skype screen right now, so hopefully we can get him on. Okay, we'll get him. That was about 10 years ago with the D. Snyder and Widowmaker. 1 second, we'll get this. We'll get it going. It's always great to have these great guests. Sometimes got to press the right buttons, right screens. Okay. He says he's live. He says he's in a Skype.
Cool. Yeah.
There he is. It's the legend, Joe Franco. What's up, my brother?
You're up, baby. It's so good to see you. I did a couple of these things, and it was like old school, just talking on the phone.
We got to see that beautiful face. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
We are just we're just pumped up every week to have these legends, the greats of all time, and we say thank you, Joe. I got to say thank you, brother. Keep it real. Last 6 years, you've given me so much honesty, and I say thank you, brother.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Oh, good. The great Joe Franco. We just played I got so much to talk to you. I'm like a little kid. All the goosebumps with the greats like you and Joe Franco. Just one of the best. So much to get to. We just played a video where you just played such smooth double bass. I want to start with double bass because you're like a pioneer. You're one of these first guys, all the VHS tapes, we talked about it in the past, but I want to get Joe Franco's honesty. Give it to me, real brother. Double bass in the last 30 years has just gone to a different level. We're going BPM, so 300 or more. Do you like where double bass has gone? Any reservations about it?
No, I mean I love progress. I'm a more old school double bass player.
Sure.
Whatever old school means. I guess you know my history. I guess 70s, 80s, 90s, and yeah, they've been really taking it up there, like 230, 240, 250 BPM. I don't speak that language,
Right.
I'm more old school where I like to really feel a lot of air moving out of the bass drums,
Sure.
But I admire what people are doing. In fact, my concept of double bass, besides playing rolls and shuffles and stuff you hear a lot, was to make double bass more musical, playing broken patterns, and making more of a musical statement in grooves. And I'm hearing these bands nowadays, bands like Soen, Gohira, doing that same thing, doing these grooves that are really syncopated, using both bass drums, guitars right on top of the groove. I don't know who writes the grooves. Could be the drummer writes the grooves and the guitar player is just following them. But I hear a lot of really interesting stuff going on. So I enjoy everything that's going on. I have a little problem with the Cookie Monster vocals, to be honest with you. I don't get that. I'm not that pissed off. But I but I don't want to be like, oh, these kids today. That's not me. I listen to everything.
Right. When you say more musical, even Ginger Baker he was doing what you just said. He was musical. He was adding those patterns, not necessarily like that. He was adding like what you talked about. Him, Louis Bellson, the great Louis Bellson. I think they started this sort of trend, and guys like you and Carmine and Bobby Rondelli, that sort of, and even those kind of players took it to a different level in the 70s and 80s.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like everything else. You get your foundation from the founding fathers, if you will. The Ginger Baker, Carmine, Ainsley Dunbar.
Yeah.
They were the first guys in my generation that I looked up to for double bass work.
Right.
And then it seemed to go to another level with when Simon and especially Terry came on the scene.
Right.
That's like, wow. I mean, the stuff that Terry does is, he's like a film score when you watch him perform. It's just, there's so much texture and the ostinato stuff he does. It's all beautiful. So yeah, it evolves, and some of the young kids today, yeah, no speed for speed's sake. That doesn't warm my heart.
Right. Right.
But when
Right.
I hear like those bands I mentioned to you play these really interested syncopated rhythms that
Yeah.
you can't really do with one bass drum. I know there's some really fast right foots, but it's a different thing. And So I still hear innovative double bass work coming out today.
Joe, what's the Billy Cobham song from '72?
Quadrant 4.
See, that's the kind of stuff. I think Alex Van Halen, if I'm not mistaken, he said he took a little bit of that in Hot for Teacher.
Well, he took a lot of that, but what started it all was, if you really want to get back to the nitty gritty roots, Carmine
Carmine.
was the first guy to play that double bass shuffle on a record, and that was Parchment Farm, the first
Right.
Cactus album.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And Carmine played it more, just basically backbeat with shuffling, quarter notes left foot,
Right.
upbeats right foot. And Simon, no, Billy had more left hand underplaying, playing the middle note of the triplet.
Right.
And then Simon put it in 7. And Alex probably soaked it in. I know Alex because Eddie Van Halen was a big Cactus. They listened to Cactus and Mountain and all that stuff in that day.
Yeah.
And I think that, he could have got a little from Carmine, a little from Cobham, a little from Simon,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
but yet Hot for Teacher is probably the most famous double bass shuffle.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Van Halen, and it's great. And he always puts his own slant on things.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe Franco, what is your definition of a groove on drums? Any kind of groove. What's your definition of a groove?
Something that moves you. Something that really moves you as a player, moves the people you're playing with, moves an audience. A groove, it could be something really simple and hypnotic. It could be something really polyrhythmic that just floats around, but just has a thing, a cohesive thing, a nice flow to it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What when you think back of your career now, and it's probably going, is it over 50 years? Just and just playing. You're probably playing over 60 years. Am I correct? I mean, is it 60 years?
I should be better.
You should be.
No, yeah, I started as a kid,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
Beatles came out when I was, 12,
right.
8th grade, and, my high school days were Cream and Hendrix, and I still play every day.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
come down here every day and play.
What are we doing? You're talking 60 years of playing. Are we still trying to create something new in Joe Franco world?
Yeah,
Are we still searching? If we are, what are you still searching for? Musically.
I'm actually working on my hands more lately. I'll give you the short story. I was
Yeah.
having some tendonitis issues, like right here,
Okay.
like maybe from 50 years of slamming backbeats.
Right. Sure.
And as rock drummers, and most of my peers primarily rock drummers, and you get that thing about here's my ride and here's my backbeat, and I dipped. Well, first of all, I started studying with a really cool teacher, this guy Bill Bachman from down in Dallas, because I read that he had techniques that get rid of tendonitis, and I said, "Oh, come on, let me check this out." So I looked them up, and sure enough, because I like to play on a pad, I like to invent new stickings and then take them on the set and move them around and do interesting things, right?
Right, right.
But I looked him up primarily because of this tendonitis issue. Okay. Anyway, one thing led to the other. I can practice 2 hours. My butt hurts before my hands hurt, and I got to that point, and with studying with Bill, I started getting more into these hybrid rudiments. I don't know how into rudiments. I never played in a drum line or did any of that stuff. I was always the guy in the rock band. And it makes so much sense because like to try to equal your hands, which is what rudiments do, whether it's a simple paradiddle, you're working both hands the same, okay? And I got really heavy into it. I got into the hybrid rudiments, some of this really crazy stuff. And now I'm applying them to grooves, to patterns. There are things I can use in the groove. There are things I can use in the solo. There's things I can use in the fill. But that is what I've been doing lately because it's really fun. It's different than anything I've done before. So that's where I'm heading.
It just goes to show a professional like you, a living legend, and 60 years of playing. There's no rules in drumming, Joe. There's no rules. We reinvent every day. I always say there's no rules in drumming. Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. Bullshit. You do what you want, and even you're applying stuff that you never did. Talk to me about the tendonitis. Talk to me about that. Has that also changed the size of the drums you're playing?
No, I like not really. Oh boy, it must be 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing it, I have a production facility. I started doing some children's television shows, and I was like, oh man, I'm really going to have to split the difference in my kit. These 24-inch kicks, these 6.5-inch snares. I'm going to have to kind of tone it down, but in a way where I could still rock. And what I came up with is this. This kit over here, really interesting in that the toms, the kicks are 22, they're D22s. I have a hard time adjusting. I'm so used to 24s where like a DW 5000 hits the middle of the bass drum,
Right.
That 22s were like, wow, I actually came down a little, the height of the pedal. But the short story is this worked for all kinds of music. I can rock out on that kit, and I can play with a 13-inch snare, maybe a smaller snare.
Right.
Something for a children's television show where the snare doesn't take over the track. Right. It fits into the track, that kind of thing. And this kit is really cool in that the spread is like 10, 13, and then 15, 18. And I would never use a 15-inch floor tom. When I ordered the kit, I said, make it 10 and 13, and then 16, 18. And Garrison at DW said, no. All right, you want a 16? I'll make you 16, but I'm going to make you a 15, and you'll never use the 16. So I had a 15, a 16, and an 18. And I said, all right, let me set up this 15. Set up the 15. And, you know what? The 18 gets a little closer. I like that. Right. You know what I mean? With the 1 inch, it means a lot. And I can tune those drums in fourths, even the floor toms. And that's a really nice spread. So no, if I were doing like a metal record right now, or I was doing a children's television show, I could use that kit.
I'm sure you could actually order, Joe Franco, a 23-inch bass drum. That might be a good complement in between the 24 and the 22.
I heard about that. DW, right?
Yeah, DW.
Yeah. Figures.
23.
Yeah, that could be good. But you know what? I have kits for 24s,
Right.
I mean, if I was going to go out and do a metal gig, I would use the 24s, But I like to have a kit that I can really do everything on, and that's the kit. So no, I didn't really change the sizes too much,
Yeah, guys, we are joined today by the legend Joe Franco. I am always happy to have him on the show. He's been on the show about 5 or 6 times over the last 6 years, and he always gives me everything. I want to take it back a little bit. A great storied career, primarily in the metal genre. When you look back, is there anything you wanted to do, any different genre you wanted to get involved with, or anything we don't know that you've done, something off base?
Yeah, I mean, some of my favorite albums you don't know that I've done, like it's always art and commerce are two different things,
Right.
I did a great record with Steve Wallace from Kansas. Who heard it? No one, it's called Shadow Man. You can find it on YouTube. And what's so great about this record is that Steve would send me a song a month.
Mhm.
Usually when you do records, um, you go in there and in 2 days you whack it, you knock it out. You're getting hired, you want to look good, you want to save some studio money, you just rock it out, use the same snare, with Steve, he would send me a song a month, and I'd have like a week or so to think about it. I'd say, oh, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to use both of these snares. I'm going to use this guy in the verse, and then I'm bringing in the big guy in the chorus. And I just did so many creative things. I created loops, played over them. Really fantastic, So yeah, that's something that I did that I'm really proud of. No one heard it.
Hmm.
I did a great record with Al Pitrelli and T.M. Stevens called the Mojo Brothers. Mojo Brothers is like, it's like Al Pitrelli. It was like a Jeff Beck record if Jeff Beck was a metal guy.
Hmm.
So it's all instrumental. TM sings a song or two, but it's really kind of proggy instrumental music, but with a real metal edge.
Hmm.
I did a couple of prog rock records with a band called Magellan. I don't know if you heard of them on Magna Carta Records back in
Okay.
then. So, the popular stuff I did, really wasn't that popular. Widowmaker was, I know you like Widowmaker,
Oh,
but
love it.
yeah, I didn't really play in very many popular records. Most of the popular stuff I did, like number one singles and all, that was mostly electronic and programming.
Hmm.
Mariah Carey, Celine Dion,
Yeah,
Taylor Dane. That
sure.
stuff is all, that was in, that era in the late 80s where I was really intrigued by that. Even though I was playing in metal bands, I was really intrigued because it was something different. And I went for it big time, and it wound up being a really fun chapter, doing a bunch of those records.
Joe Franco, you're doing a lot of stuff with your production company, behind the scenes, and still playing. Where are we today, Joe Franco? Where are we in music? Where are we in today's music scene? And where do you think we're going with technology? We're in a time where our bands have to play live. There's no more big record sales. Maybe it's coming back a little bit, but where do you think we are in the metal? And I'm sorry, in the music, world right now? In everything that's going on in music, where are we, Joe Franco?
We're all over the place.
Yeah,
There's really great stuff out there. You got to find it.
right.
A lot of great stuff. You got to look for it. There's so much creative stuff going on. In terms of where are we, and like I want to play the drums for a living and go out there and make some money and get a record deal and rock the world. I don't know. I don't have a clue. It's not as easy as it used to be, and I don't really have a clue to where we are with that.
Right.
I just know I like streaming because I download records every day. I'm not, I know it's not great for the artists, but artists are going to have to reinvent themselves and find different ways of making money,
Hmm.
whether it's merchandise, live shows, things that you can't download, and they have to reinvent themselves. But I just feel like music is alive and well. Like I said, I download things every day and I listen. I'm like, wow, this is really cool, and drive around with them, and.
Yes, you come from a time where it's a different breed of drummers and musicians. If you listen to some Black Sabbath stuff, you'll hear Bill Ward's mistakes. I love that. And you'll
Me
hear,
too.
I love that. Leave it in there. Today,
Totally.
I have a friend of mine who's a producer. He records people, and the drummer kid will come in and goes, "Yeah, I can't do that. Can you fix that for me?"
No, that I hate that mentality. There are bands that play in the same room. I
Yeah,
mean, like there are a couple of there's a couple of leaders like Foo Fighters and people who are
right.
really preaching that. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I hear records today and they're so sterile. It sounds like everyone phoned in the parts. I'm from the school of let's get in the room and play, and that's not really feasible sometimes. Sometimes like there's no budget. Everyone can go home, throw a couple of mics over the drums in the basement, and make a record for next to nothing, and everyone plays one at a time, and it sounds it. It doesn't. There's no vibe.
Right.
You listen
That's
to those old Jeff O'Toole records or some of the, it's like there's such a vibe. That stuff went down live. Okay, maybe a solo was overdubbed, maybe some vocals were
right.
overdubbed, but the band, the Beatles, the band,
Yeah.
they were live.
If you listen to the beginning of "Wish You Were Here," you'll hear the guitarist coughing in the mic. That stuff is great. You mentioned a good word, vibe, but I think it's a bad precedent for these bands to set on themselves. To even go in the studio and say, "Oh, I can't do that. He'll fix it for me." But wait a second, you gotta go.
No,
You gotta go play live. Then what happens?
yeah,
So it's a bad precedent. Because we see these big corporations, these songs that are looped. Today, you can sing a chorus. You can go la 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 and press a button. Now every chorus would be the same la la la. There's no feel sometimes.
yeah.
All those Sabbath albums, you hear Bill Ward hit the rim shot, or it's just that's music.
Yeah, you feel like you were in a garage watching a
Right,
band rehearse.
right, right. Oh man,
But that's why live music is gonna always be the greatest.
right,
I
right.
mean, you can still go to a club and see a live band, and all the warts are there, and it's fun. Drummer blows something, guitar player turns around, they both laugh. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think it's make the mistakes. I mean, everybody makes mistakes live. It's gonna happen. We want everybody to be perfect. I remember they had Neil from Russia. He did a video where he dropped a stick. People like, oh my God, he dropped a stick. That's good. Let him drop a stick. Oh my God, crazy stuff. With the great Joe Franco. What are we doing with your production company? I even seen this morning a couple of things with Sesame Street. You've been just kicking ass from that. Last time you were on, we talked about that. How much involved are you with that, and has it gotten even more busier for you?
No, it's actually gotten a lot easier because well, one of the good things of COVID was the work from home thing became kind of common, and I pretty much run the biz from home.
I can.
Um, I'm on the phone all day with my people. I text, I call, but I could stay home and play the drums, and look at my laptop every half hour or so, make sure there's no fires to put out, make sure a good team is assembled for every new show we take on, make
Yeah.
sure everybody's got their ducks in a row and all. I still really enjoy doing it. We still do some really great educational television shows for kids. It's mostly, my clients like Nickelodeon and Sesame Workshop, and those are the people that I work with, and they're really friends of mine now. It doesn't feel like work. I'm helping my friends out, and helping kids out. So it's a really feel good thing to be doing. At the end of the day, we're teaching kids emotional things, not just reading and writing. It's more sophisticated than it used to be in the old days.
Yeah, yeah. We talked about the double bass, and I love going to watch your stuff. All those great instructional videos. But we always talk about the body. You mentioned before some tendonitis, and um,
Yeah.
how, as we've gotten older, how has the legs held up for you as far as a double bass and maintaining a certain speed, and anything going on there?
Oh yeah. It's you don't want to go there. The short story is it's all fixed.
Let's press a button.
You know, there's titanium, and thank God, because I sat really low for many years because you just generate more power in the kick drums from a lower, seat. Like I sit 20 inches from the ground where this drum stool is right now. And I'm learning to play a little higher, 23, 24, because my hips were gone. Yeah, knees are good, shoulders are good. A lot of guys having rotator problems. I haven't had any of that. You know, what are you looking for, John from Italy?
Just not yet, not yet. With the great Joe Franco. I love talking to you because it's the old school and the new school. You know, we've lost a couple of great drummers in the last 3 years. You know, we lost Neil and Taylor now. I think we could learn so much from them while they're here. But do you think we could actually learn even about them when they're not here?
Oh, sure. YouTube, how many videos and everything that's
Yeah.
out there. And you just interpret it as it's in the present moment, I mean, all the stuff that Neil's done and Taylor, Taylor
Yeah.
pops up all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you can learn from them. This stuff is etched in stone, all the videos and interviews. I love interviews. I love this, and there's so much of it going on now.
Yeah.
It's so much more exciting than reading an article in a magazine. This is bringing it to life and podcasts, and there's so much of it around, and I find it a lot of fun. I'm more focused on really seeing where a guy's coming from,
Right.
more so seeing the guy rather than just reading what he said. Kind of cool.
What's the main thing you look for in an interview? Have you always tried to get something out of the host?
No, like with the people that I know, like yourself, or like this is just I'm hanging with Joe tonight.
Right, right.
I'm not dissecting it and trying to go somewhere with it. That's your job. I'm just here to hang.
It's a cool hang. It's
And
a cool hang.
I just love this because, like I said, the few that we did were radio, were just audio, and good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I don't need to. I'm just hanging.
Just
Those are the best interviews.
Just drum talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we talked about before certain snare sizes with you, 6.5 was that the main size? Even go for the good rats and years all the metal stuff. Was there a certain size snare we try to get all the time?
Yeah, I like 6.5s, and I use 6.5s most of my career. But lately, like I said, I start sitting lower and lower, and the 6.5s were touching my bass drum rim. So for the last 10 years or so, maybe even longer, I've been using 5.5s. That 1 inch means a lot, and that's the only reason. Um, and I have, my main snare is a 5.5 inch edge. It's just killer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a combination of wood and brass. It weighs like 100 pounds. I mean, what a killer snare drum. But it's dangerous. You can't use it unless it's, meaty kind of music you're playing. You can't use it for something mild and gentle. And, I've got snares for that. Yeah.
Yeah. How about over? We've talked about parts of the body because even I have trouble now with my calves at times. How about stick size? Has that changed over time for you?
No, yes, yeah. I used to use Big Firth Rock. Now I'm using what they call it's a little thinner. It's probably just as long. It's called a Super 5A. So it's not like it's thicker and longer
Okay, right.
than a 5A. And it's probably a little thinner than sticks I've used in the past, but it just got a great feel. And I love the big acorn tips. I love those because I can I can pound, and there's no dents in the heads and that kind of thing. Where the round kind of beads, they really trash heads, and
Hmm.
and these are like these. I like the way they sound. Yeah.
Good, nice, great stuff. Guys, the great Joe Franco. Once again, we just been so honored to have him on the show. I love talking with him. Always a great hang, as he says, a drum hang. You know, we've talked about your career over the probably the past 5 years, and we always look for that one moment. Is there a is there a game changing moment in your career where you said this and that? Was there a game changing band? You know, we go Good Rats in the '70s. Was there a game changer in your career?
Well, I really thought that after Twisted, I joined Twisted under the premise he told me, look, I want to do this last Twisted record and I want to do this new band. I want you to play drums in it. And that took forever to put together, but it wound up evolving into Widowmaker. And I really thought that that was going to be the band. In the day of, at that point of Van Halen, Metallica, I just felt like we were contenders. And we had no label support. The Seattle thing took over. It was bad timing. Early 90s were tough for bands that were labeled and, we're trying to sell an 80s rock star in the 90s. So even though the band kicked ass, but, that's what I really was excited about that band,
I got a chance to see you guys at a place that's no longer with us called the Birch Hill nightclub in New Jersey.
Birch Hill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was '93. Just kick ass show.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was in your face. I think you guys were on this. I just read number 2 album to keep metal going. Is that what they voted you guys?
Yeah, I saw an article. I forgot what magazine. I saw an article like that. Yeah, it was like we were one of those bands. Like, let's try to keep metal going. But there was a lot of really good stuff coming out of Seattle. I mean, Soundgarden. I love Soundgarden.
Yeah.
Some of those bands, and it was another cycle. It was like the '70s. The '70s got real corporate. It got too corporate, and then punk came out. Boom. And then the '80s got too slick, and the hair bands, and then grunge came out. It's just
It's always
like,
something.
it's like enough of that. We need something new.
Yeah, you look at these bands, even like Priest and Maiden, who are doing it 40, 50 years, Aerosmith doing it 50 years. It's hard to maintain that consistency over a long period of time, I think.
Yeah, well, that's why a lot of those bands aren't really putting out new material. They're playing that same tried and tested stuff, which is great. If you're an Aerosmith,
Yeah.
there's no need. I kind of like bands that continue to reinvent themselves. Like Maiden. Maiden does it old school.
Mhm.
They record a record, they do a tour based on that record,
Right.
and they'll do 4 or 5 songs off that record on the new tour. I like that school. Tool. I love Tool.
Okay.
They're from that school. They do a new record, they go out and tour it, and they're touring it. They're playing 5 songs off that new record. I love that.
Cool.
You know.
When you go watch a drummer, it could be walking down the street, you're walking to a bar, it could be a jazz drummer, it could be a metal drummer, or it could be a pop drummer, a country guy. Is there always one common factor you look for in that player?
Yeah, if he's supporting the music, if he's on his own trip, yeah, I mean, that in like 2 or 3 measures,
Yeah.
it just comes out at you. And when you see a drummer who's not really playing with the band, it's really hard to listen to the music, because let's face it, the drummer is the most important guy in the band, I mean, he falls apart, the band falls apart. I'm not saying that to be, like, hey, I'm a drummer, we're the band.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, a bad drummer, you can't have a good band with a bad drummer. or a drummer who's just into himself and not even listening to what's going on. It just turns me off.
Last show we had a good friend of yours, and also that Long Island, that New York feel, the great Liberty DeVito. He was our guest last show, and we talked about this. And I'm not sure we talked about it, me and you, in the past, but even in your playing, in Carmine's playing, and Dom Famularo, and he's going through some stuff, so we wish him some
I know.
some good prayers. And Liberty's playing. There's that New York, feel. Talk to me about that and how I think it's incorporating in your playing. Liberty's playing, Carmine's playing.
Well, it used to be that way, Joe. It used to be that way where you played like the guys in the neighborhood.
Right.
When I grew up, it was the Rascals, the Vagrants, and the Fudge, and, you got Dino, who was very Ringo, inspired by Ringo and the R&B stuff. And then you get Carmine, who was very inspired by Dino, but he took it to a heavier level, but all of those guys, of course, they were local guys. I was really into the Brit bands, really into the whole British invasion. But the thing about the Rascals and the Fudge and the Vagrants, they were local. I mean, the Rascals played my high school. And so those are the guys that you kind of found yourself playing like. That was a sound, and you had the West Coast sound. You had a Southern sound.
Right.
But now it's all homogenized because everything's on YouTube and you can see all this. I don't know if it's good or bad. I kind of like when there was a certain style. It was a New York style. It was hard and heavy and aggressive, and it wasn't only drummers. It was like guitar players. I mean, look at Leslie West and Eric Clapton. They both were like bluesy guitarists, but like Leslie went right through you, his riffs. It was just so heavy and so I don't know. It's a New York thing. It's a bit of aggression that we have. I can't put my finger on it, but it just is there.
Yeah.
Liberty. I've told Liberty this. I says, it sounds like a wedding band with those songs if you weren't the drummer. I mean, there's some schmaltzy stuff. Billy writes great stuff, but there's some schmaltzy stuff there. If he was like a real straight drummer, it'd be like,
Right. Yeah, it's that attitude. We talk
yeah,
about it's great stuff.
Yeah, Lib has that. Lib has that, and he, we're same age and came through the ranks the same way, have the same influences, and so I totally relate to Lib. He's a great drummer. I love watching him play. He's got so much passion.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. The great Joe Franco. Just been so happy to have him, and just love interacting with him. What is there? You have any goals that you still want to reach as far as drumming? Anything you haven't done yet that you hope to achieve?
Well, I'm in the process. Well, actually, today I spoke to a guitar player. We did the thing years ago, a name guy, but I don't want to start talking names until something happens. And it's funny that when you say new stuff, we talked about doing something that's so old it's new. It's because do something that brings up our roots. Cream, Hendrix, and Mountain, and doing things that drawing inspiration from the people who taught us to play, and that's something in the works, and there's also educational stuff, like this year, actually 2023 marks the 40th anniversary of my book, and I'm collaborating with Marvin Drummer on a series of articles and some kind of a celebratory way of acknowledging 40 years of the book, and I'm going to write some articles that, kind of dig a little more into my perspective of the material, things that aren't spelled out in the book, because, to this day, it just blows my mind. It was mostly through social media. I get guys from all over the world, sending me notes about things in my book that help their playing. And, listen to this song on my record. It comes straight out of your drum book, that kind of thing. So that just knocks me out, and it makes me want to do more educational things, So yeah, I mean, I'd like to do a fun project to record and play some shows, but I'd also like to do more educationally, because that's the best way to really pass on all those years of information that you have.
Talk to me about all those years of information and so much up here with you, so much knowledge in your playing. I like to ask, sometimes the deep questions. What has been the total destiny in your life as far as drumming?
My destiny, I try to make myself happy. You know what I mean? When I come down here and I work something out and I play it, and then the next day I play it better, and in a month it's just like part of my vocabulary, that just knocks me out. If I never use it practically, like when I first started to play the drums, it was like a hobby. I loved it. I did it because I was passionate about it. That's the same reason I play the drums today. I'm not looking to go rock the world of being the next latest, greatest. I mean, I'm past. I'm going to be 71 in a couple of months. But I don't feel any less excited about learning something new on the drums. That's the way we are as drummers. Who are you pleasing? Yourself. I feel really good if I go through, a page in a book that was really impossible to play, but after really dissecting it, it really starts feeling good. It's a great feeling.
Are you, or have you become the perpetual student?
Oh, always. Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? You put all this time into it, and it does become easier, to pick up new things, because you have facility, you have, you're always a student. You go see somebody play and they do a little cool thing. You want to go home and fool around with it, and maybe you won't play it like that, but it inspired you to do something else, from watching that performance. Yeah. You gotta keep at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just for your own sanity. It's not. Sure. There's no. What's the goal?
Right for you inside.
Right. Yeah. Right here.
Yeah. When you look back, was there one concert where you just if the drummer blew you away? You remember one concert? It was in the 70s or 60s where the drummer just set a precedent to you.
Wow, that's tough. There's so many. Back in the day, you only got to see somebody like twice a year. Whether it was Czimback or Clive Bunker, B.J. Wilson. I mean, all my favorite drummers. I was a Fillmore kid. So I would go to the Fillmore almost every weekend. And I saw all of the greats. And I really can't say one guy inspired me more than the next, because it was in stages. Like I told you before, it was Ringo, then it was Dino, it was Carmine, it was Bonham, it was, Cobham, Tony Williams. Tony Williams is my all-time fave, There's so many levels. There's so many levels of inspiration that I couldn't pick one. I really couldn't.
One guy who I'm a big fan of, we don't mention him enough, and it's my favorite name, Barrymore Barlow. I just loved his playing in Jethro Tull. I thought it was sloppy but beautiful. It was off time but in time. I just love his playing sometimes. It was no coordination. I just thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, me too. You have good taste. I love Barrymore. Yeah. I don't think he's playing. I don't think he's playing anymore. No. But yeah, I can't agree more. He's one that I didn't mention, but I love. And at that time, Jethro Tull, they started playing arenas and all, and the Fillmore was gone. I like the
little more intimate places. I
Right.
don't really enjoy going to arenas to see bands. I'm more of a fan of small places or small theaters.
Yeah. A couple more, and hopefully we'll get John to come on soon and say hello to you. I know you're his guy, and you guys have been together hanging out on the past couple of years. Talk to me about Joe Franco and the whole career, the whole body of work that you've been through. What is the one piece, the one album that you're most proud of?
I did a record with Leslie West, I did a lot of stuff with Leslie, 87 and 88. We were, everything from a Howard Stern television show to a bunch of local gigs, and then we got a record deal, and we went in the studio, just the two of us, and we started laying some tracks down. After we laid down 2 or 3 things, he says, "Who do you think we should get for bass?" And I said, not as a joke, but just as, boy, this would be unbelievable. I said, "How about Jack Bruce?" That would be great, I haven't played with Jack in a while. Calls him up, back in that day, phone machine, leaves a message on the machine, and we go back, we start knocking out a couple more tracks, Phone rings about an hour later, it's Jack. "Leslie, you caught me at a perfect time. I just got off the road. I'm really in great shape. I can come by this weekend." He comes by, whoa, from the Anyway, long story short, that was pretty exciting. Because not only did Jack play on the record, but when it was a Saturday morning and we get a call from a club in Poughkeepsie, and they were like, "We have a cancellation tonight. If we go on the radio all day, would you guys come down and play?" Because they knew Leslie and Jack were doing a record together. And they were like, "Yeah, sure." So here I am, I'm in the dressing room, and there's Jack Bruce writing a set list out on a paper plate. Politician, Spoonful, Sunshine, I don't, and then the next day we're listening to the show, we said, that blows away the record, and we cut like a 20-minute version of Spoonful down to 10 minutes, and that's on the record. And that's probably something I'm most proud of, because I was playing with 2 of my childhood heroes, Leslie and Jack, But Macaluso, what time is it there?
3:30 in the morning. It's the perfect time for me to do this because I'm wide awake. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. When are you coming to New York?
August 10th.
Let's do a drum day.
Big time.
What's
Let's
up, Johnny?
do a drum day.
What is up,
I want to
Johnny?
hear your linear stuff.
Yeah.
I'm working on new shit. We'll put it together.
Perfect.
I'll let you take the show.
Joe,
I'm happy.
Before I let you go, Joe, I know you guys have become good friends, and I know to John Macaluso, what is up, brother? Thank you for coming back, John. It's
great
my
to see you. Thanks
Good
for having
stuff.
me, man.
Yeah, so to tell everybody about Joe Franco, and I know he's your guy, but becoming friends with him, not only a drummer, but the human being, the person in Joe. How has that been to you to meet your idol and get to know him good?
Well, Joe's my hero. He's always been my hero.
Yeah.
When I was very young, I just started playing. Maybe it was like I was playing for maybe 2 or 3
15.
years.
You were 15.
Okay, before that, I went to see you at Nassau Coliseum, open for Styx, and I never heard of the Good Rats. I was blown away. They blew him away. Joe was a whole nother world, and at the time, everybody was playing like Neil Peart, including me. I had the Rototoms here to simulate Peart, And as soon as I heard Joe, I bought the Tasty Good Rats album, and it changed my whole playing. I'm still a Peart freak, but I knew everybody was doing that. I needed to change. And I was so into him. I was taking drum lessons at the drum center in Comac. And one day I walked in there and I saw a picture of him on the wall. And I asked Dennis, does he really come in here? Does that guy ever come in here? Of course. Before I knew it, years later, he was teaching. And my mother let me take the day off school to practice before the first lesson. And then I met Joe. I was horrified. I was like horrified. It was like, meeting Ozzy and you're a Sabbath fan.
Right.
And from instantly, he just made it comfortable. We became great friends. And even with reading, I got to say, I was reading for years, but Joe looked at me one day and he goes, "You're listening to me. You're not really reading the page." And I was like, "Okay, you caught me." So within like a week, he changed reading from Chinese to like understandable. Just his teaching method is brilliant. And as a friend, I mean, I love him.
Yeah,
It's the coolest thing in the world, man, to be friends with your idol.
If you
Well,
listen
that's
to
high praise.
if you listen to Joe's playing and even your playing, it's similar to sometimes it's very
No, because I rip
powerful.
them off. I rip them off big time. I just put some bells instead of the toms. I go for bells. Everybody's like, "You're so original."
He's so mod. I mean, this guy is a monster. You know it, Joe. He is a monster
Absolutely.
in every way.
Yeah, great player.
Feel, consistency. I mean, if I needed a drummer to play on my record, I would call John.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just so good. So good.
Let's
I mean,
do it.
you've been hitting the snare, John.
Another thing I got to tell you, Joe told me in the very beginning, if you want to work in this business, 2 rules: hit the snare and don't hang out with drummers. And those 2 things still ring through my head, and it works.
Cool. Hit that snare. Oh man.
Don't hang out with drummers. More important.
This is so great to have this connection with the idol and the drummer. Joe Franco, man, I cannot, brother, thank you enough. You've always given me so much around the kit. We love you, man. Just another kick-ass job by you, Joe, and I can't say thank you enough. And I just hope we can do this
thank
again.
you.
Just great stuff.
I'm
Joe,
around.
Before we go, I'll let you go. Where can they check out your production company? Anything coming up with that?
No, I mean, that's a whole different world,
Yeah.
But like, look for the stuff I'm doing for Modern Drummer.
Nice.
There's going to be a half a dozen articles coming out in the next year, and it'll give a new slant on the whole double bass thing that I've been doing for 40 years now, educationally. So that's probably the thing to look forward to. I'm looking forward to getting involved.
Good, man.
So-
Well, we say thank you, brother Joe Franco, and I'll be in touch. I am always blessed to have you on the show.
And likewise. Yeah.
Hey, Joe. I just wanted to mess with you because, both named Joe, so I broke in there. Sorry about that. No, but really, Joe, I'm doing a drum book, and I was talking to Joe about it when I was home almost a year ago. And Joe Franco, I just want to tell you, he gave me a great idea. I was almost done with the book, and it made me rewrite it again. And now I rewrote it again. But now it's ready, bro. So when I see
I can't wait. He is up to some really cool stuff.
Good
I
stuff.
mean, you are going to look forward to this drum book, and he plays the shit out of this stuff. I mean, it's not. Yikes! All right, I don't want to take any time. What do I do? Just press this hang up button.
Yeah, just
Press the red telephone.
Yeah, that's
All right.
good.
Ciao.
Thanks,
Ciao.
Joe. All right.
Hey, man. Thanks again. How are you?
Joe, what's up, Johnny? How you doing, brother?
It's all good. I'm very psyched to be here again, man.
You've been on the show probably about 7-8 times, and
Yeah.
every time you come on, I am always so pumped, man, because you just so much energy, and I just keep watching videos of you, man. I watched a video today of you. I didn't even know what was going on. You just all over the place in the pocket, man. Just
Thanks, man.
Just keeping it real. I got so much to get to you. We had a great conversation with Joe, and I know he loves
man.
you. You
He's
you
the
love
best.
him. Yeah, he's great.
Joe's got like a swing to his rock playing.
Yeah.
Joe can play. He can play "We Will Rock You," but it swings. It just swings, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Joe, and has he influenced you not only, but especially with the double drums, the double bass drums? Has he been a big part of your growth in double bass?
Yeah, I mean, he's everything. Luckily, I had a great teacher when I was young who taught me to lead with the right and not the left, because in the old days, like when I first started playing, they were still doing like if Bonham was playing double bass. You take the thing with the floor tom and the left foot on the hi-hat, like 4 sticks, da-ba-da-ba-da.
Right.
So nobody really knew any better. When double bass came out, people started to play double bass the same way, left, right, left, right, left, right. And luckily my teacher taught me that, right foot first. Because when I went to see Joe, the whole system worked. Right foot, left foot, just single strokes,
Sure.
But a lot of guys had to turn it around. Joe took something that people played, but he put it in a book, which was so simple, and it just changes everything, Big influence with double bass. Huge.
Cool.
Huge, man.
Great stuff.
Huge.
Great stuff. So much to get to you with going back so many years. Talk to me about where you are in your career. Forget everybody else. Where is Johnny Mac? Where's John Macaluso? Are you up to par? Do you think you're at a good level that you want to be, or any reservations about that?
I played my whole life, and I have Billy Cobham. I met him in Brazil.
Right.
And we went to dinner. We were talking. It's a whole nother story. It's amazing. But he said, even if he's not playing, he's practicing in his head.
Sure. Yeah.
And, so I'm always doing the same. But maybe like 5 years ago, a band called me to do a record, and it was like really fast double bass and everything. And at the time, I was not playing that much of that type of style.
Right.
So it got me back into practicing. So for the last 5 years, I at least do 3 hours a day, sometimes 4 or 5. I just go. So it's like work, and if I'm not working, I'm playing. And it's so much more fun when you're really on top of it. You know what I mean? When you're really on top of your game and everything. So I'm there. I'm ready for anything, man. Good. Right now, man.
Because you're putting the work in and you're prepared. That's a big part of it. And what you said about Cobham, I lay in bed, John. I lay in bed and I can't go to sleep because in my head, my teeth are moving like this. I'm doing beats with my teeth. I'm driving. I'm always thinking about a beat. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, but the thing is, I live in Italy, so when I practice double bass, I got a clutch now. So the car's always doing this, man. But yeah, but what practicing, I hated to do this, but practicing means to play what you're not good at.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to my rehearsal studio, and I could easily jam and do all the fun stuff, but I purposely work on things I suck at. I lock the door. I don't let anybody near it. Right. And I've been working on going backwards and forwards, like the Bozio style thing. Mm-hmm. And since I do these Mike Romeo solo albums, he's the guitarist of Symphony X.
Sure.
It's very, very melodic, orchestrated. I started a new thing where I try to somewhat follow melodies on a tom. So I don't always do the Beach Boys. I go. It's impossible because I don't play another instrument, but I try to get in the vicinity of what the guitar would do. And it's a totally new head. It changed my life. So when I practice, I do that stuff, and I try to, with the bells, I try to do melodic stuff.
Right.
And it's just a totally new thing, because as a drummer, you could start writing songs with the band. Yeah. Because you could have an actual melody and a rhythm. So I'm taking it out, man. I'm taking it. I'm psyched, and it feels good to be good again.
Wow. Have you made any changes to the beat placement, the pedal board, and anything you've done to just help you in any way?
I always played swivel foot.
Okay.
Like if you're doing a samba, I heard Gad goes up and down. So also I played a lot of heavy stuff in the last 10 years, and now I'm playing some lighter stuff, and I find it works better when you're playing lighter to go up the pedal board to do the quick double.
Okay.
So for like a week, it was very uncomfortable, and then it just clicked. I'm like, oh man. So yeah, foot position is really important. It's good you talk about that. It's important to the style of the music, I think.
Especially yours, because if people don't know, there's pedals today that are everything. Longer boards and shorter boards, the
long board,
the long boards or the short boards. They have the beta almost could be like up to here. So I think there's different variations. But I just love you because Johnny Mac is not afraid to try something new because you want to get better. That's why you're a pro drummer, and that's why the level you are, because you're not afraid to take a chance and not fail, but make a mistake and learn from that. It's important.
When Joe Franco recommended me for TNT, it was a big band at the time.
Sure.
It was, how could I explain this? It was like a band I was a fan of, and I got in the band, and at the time I was on fire. I had all these chops, I had all that, and the band was extremely restricting. Like, dum-dum-da, hit the crash on the right.
Sure.
Dum-dum-da, and to me, I was going crazy. I'm like, I want to do my thing. And then I joined a band named Riot, which was another great band. But both bands, they had previous drummers. So it was like kind of play the stuff. And not frustration, but playing with those bands and not being able to stretch out, it forced me to start my own band, Arc.
Right.
And my band, so Arc was like a no rules thing. Like, I'm going to do double bass and this guy's going to play flamenco guitar. Who says it doesn't work? You know what I mean? And taking the risk is what people started to hear about me, because they said there was insults and compliments. Wow, so original. And then another guy would write, where's the 2 and 4? So that's what taking a risk is. Some people are not used to it and they don't even want to hear from you. Yeah. But the other people start to get something from it. So Arc changed my life. I started to say, we're in the oldest business in the world with drummers. Who says it's all been done before? It might be, but you could just hit a different drum and it hasn't been done before.
Well, I was saying before, and at times I do these videos where I'm a righty, and I think you even seen a couple where I play traditional in my right hand, and people say, you can't do that. There's no rules.
No rule.
There's no
rule at all, man.
I mean, come on. I just think look what Hendrix did with the guitar. He played the guitar backwards. I think it was a righty guitar, so he played it backwards. There's no rules.
I don't know about you. Okay, tell me, because I got a question.
No, I just wanted to say, even your stuff with Yngwie that you did, and I wanted to ask you about, stuff like that, and how creative, you wanted to get with these bands, and did you always reach your goal with these bands, or were they restricted you at all?
Well, with Yngwie, basically, there's 2 rules. It's my way or the Yngwie. That's one of his rules, meaning what he says goes. Okay. And he'll say to me, Macaluso, whose name is on the bass drum? And I mess with him. I go, Yamaha? He's like, that's not funny. But basically, as long as it's metal, he'll let you do it. He loves drums. He loves the way I play. So he would even be saying, give me bigger fills. I'm like, that's a 2-measure fill. Give me a 2.5-measure fill. So it's a drummer's paradise in that way, but you've got to keep it metal. Right. But on the second album I did with him, I started to add the Franco system in. Instead of I'd be like, and in the beginning he was like, no. And I kind of psychologically got him into it. I said, follow the rhythm. And he started to follow it. And then he started to let me go. So the second album is a horrible mix, but the playing is really cool, man.
Right. That's important to you. I think that's important to Johnny Mac, to let you go.
Big time. I mean, you called me.
Right.
Like, I do a lot of sessions, and the best thing is when, a lot of from foreign countries, guys from Brazil or guys from, all over the world. And the best thing is when they say, I'm going to send you a demo with a drum machine, but don't worry about the drum machine. Just do yourself. That's when you're like, great. And then you do yourself and they complain the next day, hey, what'd you do on the verse? No, I'm only joking. But that's like the best compliment and the most fun. You just do your thing. And you don't step on them, but you know what I'm saying?
Right. Talk about this book some more you putting together.
Yeah, so I started writing it years ago. I got into linear drumming from my first drum teacher, and Jim Holland. So I knew what linear was. And the first real linear beat was La Via Stradiana from Rush, when it breaks down. I knew something was different there, but I also said, it's so different that it's so cool. It's like, it sounded complicated, but you could still groove to it. So from a young age, I was into linear. And when I was going to PIT in California, there was a clinic with Bozio and Sonny Emery. Bozio is one of my favorites on the planet, but Sonny opened up, and he was doing all this stuff like Cobham style, left hand on the hat, but the right hand going around a kit. And it was not something you heard in metal. You didn't hear it in prog. I think he took it from maybe gospel or whatever, R&B. But the way he played it was fast and heavy. So at a young age, I got into that. And I did one drum book, but I started to do clinics, and the most questions were about my linear stuff. So I took it out. And for like 10 years, I've been writing this book. And I'm listening back. I record everything. I'm like, that sounds too similar to that chapter. So I got together with Joe, and I told him the subtitle of the book is called United Sounds of Separation, meaning everything is separate, linear, but with the melodies I'm doing and with the patterns, I'm uniting them. Okay, so United Sounds of Separation. Sure. But like the subhead would be the beat remains the same. And when I told Franco that, he goes, that's it. That's your focus point. Because now you're not going to mess with the band because you're doing the same beat. Dum, da, dum, dum, da. But between, you can be, and you can do bells. So you still have boom, ba, dum, dum, da. Between is a whole nother world. And that's what I don't hear a lot. So it's kind of like the beat remains the same. It's still the same beat, but you're enhancing it. You're going to like a new dimension. And it's not like one of those books where it starts off at level 1 and it gets harder and harder. It does, but basically it's systems. All right? So you're not just reading something. Everything in the book is there to sound good. That's important. It's stuff you could really use in a professional way and also a beginner. And since it's linear, it's actually easier to read. So I think anyone can do it. But I do melodic stuff. I do a thing called stairway linear where the right hand is going to go floor tom, ride cymbal, china, and back down the stairs. So if you put that, 3 things, if you put it on a basic rock beat, we will rock you in 4/4. Boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba. So you start getting polyrhythms here. And if you want to play odd times, you could control the polyrhythm. You could add another cymbal. You could add another floor tom. So it gets crazy. Surprise polyrhythms, I call them, because I didn't plan them.
Right.
And then I call round table. I do the same thing, this way and this way. So you're getting these crazy melodies that if on a record, you're like, what the hell is this guy doing? That's why I put a video with the book. Because when you see it, it's easy. But then you could decide, I want to do 2 hits on each one. We will rock you with 2 hits. All right, and around the same thing. That's just 2 methods. So each chapter, there's 23 different systems. And like I said, it's there to sound good, not necessarily, okay, you're ready for chapter 2 now. It does that, but not so obvious.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Talk to me about the book and what we just talked about, but even getting deeper, you know, what's the main message you want to send with this book?
That drumming, and if you're a drummer in the band, okay, I do a thing at the end of the book called Songwriting with Linear. And it's basically what I was talking about before. You could take a basic drum beat, dum, da, dum, dum, da, and you have your whole band in the studio now. You tell the bass player, you play the kick. Bass player, dum. This is a simple idea. Dum, 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 dum. Now the hi-hat, keyboard player, give me something for the hi-hat. So it's like keyboard, snare drum. Let's have the vocalist just do I don't know, a word. Drum. Drum. You could, so you got 4 limbs. Now you could have 4 musicians in your band all playing a different part of the kit, and then you could make it melodic. So now you didn't only give the bass player a rhythm, but or you didn't only give the keyboard player a rhythm, but now he's got da 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 da. Now, if you do something on bells, dun, 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 basically you just wrote the beginnings of a song. You know, so it gives the chance for the drummer actually to be part of a writing process. And when I'm teaching people you got to try it. You could have your basic beat, linear. Let's say walk this way. As soon as you take the right hand off the hat and you go to a tom, the student chokes and he's like, "Wait, what the hell was that?" Because sonically you're not used to it. So I say, just look at your hand, and I tell them, just watch your hand. So it helps. They just watch it, and you get it mechanically first, and then you start worrying about the feel, making it groove. But first, it's mechanical.
Yeah.
And linear is all about balance because you're not connecting anything. You're not connecting the right hand and the foot. There's nothing to lean into. So the beginning, the first chapter, is all about balancing yourself because there's no safety net.
Yeah,
it's cool, man. You're gonna dig it. You get the first copy, man.
Oh, great. We are great with live with the great John Macaluso. Always love his interaction. Talk to me about this because I think with you, I know the answer, but is it important if you play something? Is it important for people to like it? Meaning, if they don't like it, is it still important to you because you like it?
Yeah. I mean, the weird
Even
thing
though they
about
don't like it, yeah. Even though they don't like it, you could still be
I've
happy
been
with it.
there.
Yeah.
I've been there. Like I'm playing with James LaBrie. I did his first tour.
Right.
The singer from Dream Theater.
Yeah.
And in that type of situation, anybody around that is critical about drummers and drumming. Anything to do with that band, it's like drum, drum, drum. So after the first couple of gigs, I was like, YouTube was a new thing to me. This is 2005.
Right.
So I remember reading the comments under the videos we put out, and it was like, this guy's great. He'd be perfect for the new Dream Theater, whatever. This guy sucks. Oh my God, how horrible! And it was like ruthless comments. And at first I was offended before I realized it's just the way social media is. The guy in his basement.
Right.
I was so messed up here. I'm going, because I worked my whole life. I'm going, why did they hate it? It really affected me, man. And then it took a while to realize that, you can't please anyone, even though you can't please everyone.
Uh-huh.
And, as long as there's some people who want to listen to you, that's good enough,
Yeah.
If everybody's saying you suck, it's a different story, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's,
yeah.
did I answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, I'm okay if I do something and people don't like it. I'm still gonna put it out. I'm still proud of it.
Big time.
Yeah.
You're okay. In that case, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Also like my heroes, I have to like the guy. I don't know if that's correct or not, but I have to kind of like the person himself.
Okay.
That I'm playing, that I'm really a fan of. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like meeting an actor, and
That connection.
yeah, it's like meeting a famous actor, and like I wish I never met that guy.
Right, right.
The real person comes out.
Yeah. But especially with Joe, I know you guys were hanging out a couple of years ago. Yeah, and you've become good friends. That's important.
To me, it's amazing. I mean, I used to get. It was like calling your first girlfriend at breaking up or whatever. I would dial like 6 numbers and hang up because I'm like, oh, I'm calling Joe Franco. I got to be ready to speak. I mean, I was so nervous because to me it was like Neil Peart, and he still is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But super cool. I love him, and
Yeah, guys, we are live with the tremendous John Macaluso, just a powerhouse. I watch you play at times, and at times I got to be honest, it's unorthodox to playing sometimes. But what does that mean? It means nothing. If you close your eyes, you don't even see that. Talk to me about your style. How I think it's different than a lot of drummers and your playing. But if you close your eyes, you wouldn't even notice anything.
I worked a lot on left hand.
Yeah.
because I play different styles of music.
Sure.
I mean, my whole life I've been a studio drummer I play a lot live, but I've been a session drummer. And sometimes if you're doing something like playing with Ingve was like, you have to rim shot the snare. So to do that, my hand gets more stiff. I want it to be like a rock. And I'm going to go bam, bam. All right? I get that position and I leave it there. But for other styles of music, that's not going to work. If you're doing like a Bob Dylan song, you're not going to be rim shot the snare. So I came up with different systems for different volumes of playing, because I didn't want to change size drumsticks. I want to use the same sticks. I want to play dynamically. So there's like a method I call talk to the hand. And this is for extra extreme heavy playing. But the motion also helps like a metronome. I take the stick. Remember Mark Friedrichs used to talk to the baseball?
Sure. Detroit Tigers, sure.
Exactly. So I basically...
Number 20, yes.
The hand is here, and you're like, hello, palm. Here's your hand. And now you're going to come down. You're going to twist, like throwing a punch, you know. If you put a little more into it, you get a better hit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come down like this and twist, and I hit the snare. And it's powerful. And immediately back up, boom, right in front of the face, talk to it again. I find that a lot of the engineers have said it sounds like a sample because it's the same exact hit every time. If you could kind of put yourself into a mantra, put yourself like meditate and keep that left hand, no matter what you're doing, try to make that thing automatic. Boom. So you're going to get the same exact hit every time. And producers and engineers love it because they don't have to go nuts in the studio. Mm-hmm. So there's different, and then I do another one I call there's many. But one I call the Van Gogh. Okay, the Van Gogh is you're gonna take your stick, you're gonna hit, and you're gonna throw it behind your back. Mm-hmm. So the stick is actually gonna hit here, and then you swing it back. It's called the Van Gogh because you gotta watch your ear. If you cut the ear off, like. And these things, so these things work. They work, and the stupid names, all the students remember it. Hey, I'm doing a Van Gogh. No. Hey, Joe, you want to see what else I've been working on?
Absolutely.
I'm in Italy, and when I'm not working, I'm practicing. And when I'm not practicing, I start to cook. So I put the two things together. I call it the spatchy stick.
Nice.
Now this is a 2B. 2B or not 2B. We have a 5B, we have a 5A. Order now, we'll throw in a set of Ginsu cooking knives. Order in the next 5 minutes. So we got the spatchy stick, and then I got this one, the broomstick. I broke the broom. My wife freaked out. I'm like, hold on a second. I could fix it. Just take another 2B.
2B.
Yeah, I got to talk to Steve Lobermeyer to see if we could get this thing cooking. My endorsement. You know? So, you know, for all your drumming and cooking needs, and you could clean up afterwards, man.
Johnny Mac, you are the best, my God.
Yeah, you're the best.
I just love when you come on. I got a couple more, bro, and I can't thank you for this time.
You're the best. I love it.
Oh, we just to be or not to be. Johnny Mac, what if you're doing this for so many years now, and we always like to give some sort of advice to that young drummer who wants to do this, who wants to be you, who wants to be Joe. What's the one piece of advice, that vital piece that you would give to a young drummer today to be successful in the business of drumming?
It's a weird time because I was with Joe Franco and we met Carmine at Peace, and they were good friends. Carmine told me, I was very young at the time, and Carmine said, hey man, you got to get out in the basement because nobody will ever find you in your basement. So at the time, those words stuck out. I always went to clubs, even if I wasn't playing, meeting people. Today, the problem is it's all internet. The one piece of advice I give a student, study privately. Don't only study online. Because if everyone is going to the same website, you're going to lose the secrets of the pyramids.
Right.
Everybody's going to play the same. In how many years? 50 years from now, everybody's doing the same licks. When you study privately, You learn a lick, and your teacher could say, give me something new with what I taught you, and see if your hands are played wrong, and you might get a tendonitis. Study privately with a human being. And the other stuff you could work on online. I mean, that's the biggest piece of advice. You want to be original.
Yeah, well, you just incorporated food and cooking. How about this? People have the same recipe. Try a different recipe. It's the same thing you're talking about. Yeah, just great stuff. And my last question today, you've given so much of your live playing to the crowd. What in return has the crowd given back to you, and is that crowd response is that important, playing live to you?
After the Rotten Tomatoes and the carrots they throw, it's super important. Yeah. It's super important. I mean, you need to hear that, especially being a studio guy. I'm a studio guy.
Do you play better live with more of that
instantly?
Stuff? Yeah.
Instantly. Someone told me years ago, I was getting butterflies. I still get butterflies, and I forgot who it was. One of the bigger names. They said, "They're your friends," and I'm like, "Oh my God, he's right." You're not. If they're to see your band's on the ticket. They are your friends, even if you're the new guy in the band. Mm-hmm. So I try to make eye contact with one or two people, because a drummer can get in that strange thing where he's in his own world and he looks at the hi-hat the whole time.
Right.
So somebody taught me, if you want to get more of a reaction, and not only that, it can help you play more relaxed. Try to find some people that are digging you, and you kind of play with them, and that really helps, man.
That connection.
Yeah. Don't be in your own world back there, because I see when I was going to PIT, they had GIT, BIT, PIT, and they would have concerts every Friday. The students would get together and play. Mm-hmm. And I see Tim Bogart jumped on the stage in front of one of his students and was ripping into the guy. "What are you doing? You're looking at your sneakers. What? Nobody wants to see that." I mean, it's just school. But he was telling him, like, real life. He goes, "Look at them. You're playing for them." And the kid was, like, horrified. But the next week, the dude was looking at the audience.
Nice.
But,
Johnny.
Yeah.
John, just great stuff, man. As always, just keeping it real and kicking ass, making us laugh, and keeping everything great. When is the book coming out, and what else is going on with you?
Okay. I should have did it 10 years ago. Okay. I told you this in the past. Yeah. I came to Italy to do a clinic, and I'm still here.
Sure.
It was 10 years ago. I didn't plan it. I just came, and life was, I liked it. I was like, now I'm married. I got a dog, 4 cats, a place. It's all cool.
Nice.
But I was putting money aside every album and every tour, and I got my microphones. I got my interfaces. I finally have recording studio. Finally. And I've done about 3 albums there, and it's kicking. It's just, the sound is great, and it's comfortable because it's only me and my engineer, and that's like one of the main focuses besides the book. Mm-hmm. I'm available for session work if anybody wants. All the info is on my new website, johnmacaluso.com. So it's the studio, it's the book. The new Mike Romeo album is out, War of the Worlds Part 2, and it's full of linear. If anybody's interested in what I talked about with the linear, the beat remains the same. The way Mike Romeo writes music is he kind of thinks of me on the drums, he programs it, he sends me a demo, and he says, just follow my kicks. Do whatever you want on top, all your fills, do your thing, follow my kicks. So I did, and between is linear and all the whole thing. So if anybody's interested, War of the Worlds Part 2 is out now. Michael Romeo. And whatever, man, inventing, cooking things with sticks and learning to make sauce. And life is good, man.
Life is good, man. You are the best. I can't thank you enough, man.
You are.
You just.
Hey, congratulations.
Oh, thanks, man. We're doing some great stuff. Yeah, this is awesome. We're in a studio with a great producer, a great friend of mine, John Besser, has just taken the show. He's just doing great. But I can't thank you enough, bro. I'll be in touch. Guys, the great John Macaluso. How about this? Johnny Mac and Cheese. Get it?
Johnny Mac and Cheese. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'll take a picture. I'll send it. No, I'm gonna this week I'm gonna do it because
Johnny
I promised
Mac
my
and
wife
cheese.
sushi tomorrow.
Nice.
So this week I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna photograph it, and I'm gonna tag you. Well, video it.
Thanks, brother. Johnny Mac, we say thank you, brother. I'll be in touch. I love you, and have a great night.
Me too. Congratulations, bro.
All right. Thanks, man.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao, man. Start the bone.
Hey.
You got it. All right, brother. Oh, great stuff, Johnny Mac. Woof. Love the sound effects in the background. Anyway, great job by the great Johnny Mac. Let's get to our other segment. Doug Miola is just kicking ass with the new segment we call the Spotlight Drummer.
All right, we are back once again with another amazing night of all things drummers, drums, and drumming. Hello, everyone. This is Doug Miola with our Around the Kit Spotlight Drummer series. Tonight's Spotlight Drummer is Tony Williams. Born in Chicago in 1945, Tony grew up in Boston and began studying with Alan Dawson at the age of 11. Dawson went out of his way to encourage and support Tony, and in an interview, Tony said, "On Saturday nights, Alan would drive 100 miles out of his way to pick me up in Roxbury, drive to Cambridge to let me perform with his trio and gain valuable experience, and then return me safely at home. I was only 12 years old." Tony spent his early years studying the great drummers who defined the art. As a young drummer, Tony would buy every record that he could find with Max Roach on it, and then he would learn and play exactly what Max played on the record, including his solos. Tony also did a deep dive into studying drummers like Art Blakey, Philly Joe Jones, Jimmy Cobb, Roy Haynes, and all of the other drummers that inspired him. Tony has said in an interview that people try to get into playing drums, and after a year or so, they're working on their own style. You must first spend a long time doing everything that the great drummers did. Not only do you learn how to play something, but you also learn why it was played. While in his teens, Tony began gigging with saxophonists Sam Rivers and Jackie McLean. When he was 17, Williams was hired by Miles Davis, becoming part of a quintet that included saxophonist Wayne Shorter, pianist Herbie Hancock, and bassist Ron Carter. Even in his early performances and recordings with Davis, Williams proved that he had not only mastered the jazz drumming vocabulary of the masters who had preceded him, but that he was ready to take jazz drumming to new levels. Among many of his unique stylistic drumming characteristics, Tony's approach to freeing up the hi-hat from its traditional role of maintaining beats on just 2 and 4 with a more pulse-oriented approach to the ride cymbal, which foreshadowed the use of straight eighth rock rhythms in jazz. Many considered Williams the first fusion drummer. Tony recorded several albums with Miles Davis that are considered classics, including 4 and More, Sorcerer, Nefertiti, and In a Silent Way. During the 6 years he was with Miles Davis, Tony also released 2 solo albums, Lifetime and Spring, on which he revealed his affinity for the avant-garde style of jazz. During those years, Williams also appeared on Hancock's Maiden Voyage and Eric Dolphy's Out to Lunch albums. After leaving Miles Davis, Tony formed the band Lifetime with guitarist John McLaughlin and organist Larry Young, releasing the album Emergency. Combining the technique and finesse of jazz with the energy and volume of rock, Lifetime paved the way for such bands as McLaughlin's Mahavishnu Orchestra and Chick Corea's Return to Forever. Lifetime endured through several personal changes, and on albums such as Believe It and $1 Million Legs, Tony became increasingly interested in rock and funk rhythms, but as with his jazz playing, he was always experimenting with pushing boundaries. In the mid-1970s, Williams returned to his mainstream jazz roots with VSOP, which reunited him with Herbie Hancock, Shorter, and Carter, along with trumpeter Freddie Hubbard. Soon after, Tony assembled the great jazz trio with Carter and pianist Hank Jones. During the early 1980s, Tony devoted a lot of time to studying composition. The results of that study were revealed on a series of albums that were released on the Blue Note label, beginning with Foreign Intrigue in 1985 and continuing with Civilization, Angel Street, Native Heart, The Story of Neptune, and Tokyo Live. Tony maintained a working band that featured such young lions as trumpeter Wallace Ronnie, saxophonist Donald Harrison, and Bill Pierce, with bassist Charnette Moffett. Tony also played drums for the band Public Image Limited, fronted by Johnny Lydon, aka Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols, on their release entitled Album. He played on the songs FFF and Rise, along with the song Home. The other drummer hired to track drums on that album was Ginger Baker. Tony's final album, released just weeks before his death, was titled Wilderness and featured Herbie Hancock, saxophonist Michael Brecker, guitarist Pat Metheny, and bassist Stanley Clark, along with a full orchestra. It was his most fully realized statement as a composer. Tony himself always looked for ways in which he could improve. He said, "I've always been a student. Learning has always been exciting for me." Sadly, Tony's life was cut tragically short in February 1997 by a fatal heart attack. On February 20th, 1997, Tony checked into Seton Medical Center in Dolly City, California, suffering from stomach pain. 3 days later, while recuperating from gallbladder surgery, Tony died of a heart attack. He was only 51 years old. Throughout his career, Tony inspired countless drummers to strive for excellence and find their own voices, as he had done throughout his remarkable career. Drummers such as Terry Bozzio, Bill Bruford, Billy Cobham, Vinnie Colaiuto, Peter Erskine, David Garibaldi, Steve Jordan, Jim Keltner, Michael Shreve, Steve Smith, Charlie Watts, and Dave Weckl have all named Williams as an important influence on their playing. Tony is an absolute drumming legend that we miss and continue to learn from and honor. Thank you, Tony, for your endless inspiration and amazing contributions to the worlds of drumming and music. You are missed.